What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Gore here, and we are live once again for another Tuesday Night Live right here on Facebook, as well as streaming live on YouTube. Tonight's kind of a cool show. You know, it's crazy. You know, I've had some cool special guests over the years, and one of my favorite guests to always have is got to be Brent Chapman when he's on here. I mean, Brent's a stud. Brent kills it all the time. He brings the fire, and I'll tell you what. There is no secret that he brought some fire yesterday in Group A, Day 2, and we're going to be having Brent come on here in just a few minutes after I give some shout-outs, and we're going to talk about some of the cool things that happened to him during the tournament yesterday, some of the things that's happened in the past, you know, throughout the through his MLF careers and things like that. Plus, it's a great opportunity for you guys, the fans, those of you watching, to go ahead and ask Brent questions. And I'll repeat that again as we get more people tuning in and more people sharing this. And as always, like I said, sharing this, do me a favor, click that like button, click that share button, tag your friends, your husbands, your wives, your cousins, your uncles, your sisters, your best friend, your fishing partner, whoever it may be. Let them know that we're live. Plus, we've got Brent Chapman going to be joining us here in just a moment. So who do we got in the comment section before I bring Brent on? We've got Uncle Yukon. What's happening? Tim, how's it going? We got Mr. King in the house. Gary E, as always. We got Marcos. How you doing? Hey. Adam Robinson in the house. Adam, what's happening? Sebastian, glad to see you in the house again, all the way from Argentina. That's awesome to see. We love it when you join in. Of course, we've got Facebook user in the house. What's going on, Tim? What's going on in your world? What do you got to talk about tonight? Guys, if you're just now tuning in, do me a favor, get your questions ready for Brent. If you got any questions on how to, what's your go-to fall bait, because fall's right around the corner, what's your end of summer bait, what's your whatever it may be, how do you rig this, what's your favorite knot to tie, Brent? You know, whatever it may be that you've got a question, or maybe you've got a question like, hey, Brent, what is like the best weed eater to use when with the Toro sponsorship that he has? You know, he's got some really cool stuff there to talk about. So have your questions ready, and we're going to be bringing Brent on in just a second. Got Scott Hooten in the house. That's when you combine Scott Hooten together, you get Scootin' in the house. We got Crappy Kevs in the house. We got some repeat offenders in here. But speaking of repeat offender, I'm going to go ahead and bring Brent on right now. Brent, here's your warning. Make sure your hair's right. And we're going to bring him in, and we're going to talk about some cool stuff in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, MLF Pro, KastKing Pro, Mr. Brent Chapman. What's going on, Brent? How you doing? Oh, that hair.
I had to fix my hair there, so it's all good.
You have plenty more than I do, so.
Yes.
What's going on, Brent? How you doing, man?
Oh, good. Just got done eating a little dinner and just getting settled in to rest a little bit, chill for an hour or two, and get ready for the knockout round.
Nice.
Up here at Mille Lacs.
What was dinner tonight? What did you have for dinner to prepare you to go into tomorrow?
I had Bobby's famous taco soup, right? But it was leftovers. She reminded me we were having leftovers tonight. So it was leftovers tonight, but it was taco soup. So it was really, really good. Mixed a little rice in there and sour cream, and it was perfect. So
nice.
Had some dinner and get to bed bright and early so we can get up bright and early.
I tell you what, now sometimes leftovers are the best. You know, they're better the second time. So sometimes that's the way it goes. So apparently it sounds like taco soup was one of those deals.
Exactly.
So, all right. So let's get things popping. Of course, guys, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, if you're just now tuning in, you got questions for Brent, let us know. But I got a couple questions for you, Brent. This is stop number 7. This is the last stop on the tour for the 2022 season. It started off a little slow for you, right, in day 1, but yet you built some momentum. Tell me about what you've got going on, you know, going into this. Of course, you got the knockout round tomorrow. And, man, I thought Josh Bertrand was going to skate right on in to the championship round. But apparently you got to deal with Josh. You got to deal with a lot of people. Mark Daniels came and took that from him. You know, there's a lot of people you're going to have to deal with. What happened on day 1 that set the stage for day 2?
Day 1 did. It started out slow for me. I actually had a pretty good practice. I was feeling pretty good about an area I found, and I caught him on a lipless crankbait on a red-eye shad in practice, and I'm just burning through there using my 8-to-1 Bassinator Elite reel, just burning that lipless crankbait through there. And it was a weird morning, bluebird skies, not a lot of wind, and they just didn't seem to be feeding. And from what I can tell, I wasn't seeing any on live scope, and I really felt like the fish were gone. Well, so I left there, went to another spot, and caught some on some rocks on, looking at them on live scope. I caught one and lost one, and that was it. I only caught one fish that first period, so I was really kind of bummed and pulling my hair out. And I finally just had to have a, kind of a heart to heart. My coach, Bobby, during our breaks, we can text and get back and forth. And she's like, "You got plenty of fish, just hunker down and go fish for your fish." And I'm like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, she's right. Those fish are there. The sun is coming up. Go back there and, figure them out. And I went back there and fishing down that stretch with the lipless crankbait. And I look down on live scope and I see a fish. I pick up my Ned rig, throw over, and I catch it. And then the light bulb went off. I was able to see these fish and they're sitting right on the edge of the grass. It's on a rock flat, but then there's grass. And it's so amazing with that live scope technology, how you can see those fish in the grass, on the edge of the grass. And I started going down through there with the Ned rig and just picking them off. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. And I went from being towards the bottom to where I think I finished the day at that first day, I think I was sitting in 19th, but got all the way up to 10th or 12th and back down to 19th. But I knew I had found something special and was really looking forward to yesterday to getting in there, spinning 3 periods and really making the most of it.
So day one, lipless crankbait was kind of your search bait until you started putting it together on a pattern in the grass. And then it was just lipless and then Ned rig for the most part.
Yep. Ned rig. Yep.
So going into day 2, now okay, lipless crankbait, search bait, pickup maybe. Were you using the lipless crankbait for like a kicker for like a little bit larger fish? Did you have any kind of a concept like,
I did. Actually, obviously we're battling out for heavy hitters as well, trying to find a big fish. And I caught some really nice fish on it, and this time of year, fall, lipless crankbaits will sometimes catch some really big fish. But the thing about smallmouth, you just never know. I mean, heck, I caught my best fish yesterday on a 412 on a drop shot on a Strike King half shell. So you always have to be prepared for a big one anyway. But there are certain ways. I threw a topwater a lot yesterday because usually a topwater will generate a big bite, but it didn't happen there. So you know what? Tomorrow, my goal, definitely the goal is to make the championship round. But my other goal is I'm looking for a 5-pound plus fish tomorrow to give me a shot to get into heavy hitters because going into this event, I'm just a few ounces out of the cut for heavy hitters, and I'd like to end this event a few ounces in and make it to heavy hitters.
Okay. Now, this lake that you guys are fishing it's primarily just smallmouth. Is it all smallmouth, or is there
it's not all smallmouth? I have yet to ever catch a largemouth out of this lake, but I don't know. I can't watch live. You fans can, and they can actually go to the app, the MLF app, and it will show you what the guys are catching. I haven't heard of anybody catching largemouth, but I'm sure somebody is. The smallmouth are the big player here. This tournament, will probably be won on smallmouth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So now are you going to go in? Granted, you don't want to let all your game plans and secrets out. Not that your competition's watching the live show tonight. Like, I got to see what Brent's doing. Maybe he's going to give it away. But, I know Josh, he was drop shotting.
Yeah. You can't tell me though. Don't tell me.
Oh, I can't say that. Okay. I can't.
You can't tell me. Yeah. So,
well,
but it's not that a drop shot is a big secret in this event.
Right, obviously,
there's not a single guy out there that probably doesn't have multiple drop shots tied on.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. So that's information for me. So that's kind of cool. So you guys aren't allowed to follow the score tracker. You can see the score tracker on what you guys are doing. We
can watch score tracker, but that's the only thing we can do.
Okay.
We can't watch live. We can't watch the post. We can't see what MLF is posting, as far as stories and all that stuff. All we can do is look at score tracker, so we kind of get a feel for what the weights are going to be. But everything after that is off limits, and you were almost revealed too much there, but we're all good.
Okay, sorry, my apologies to the world. I had
no
idea. So, all right, so I got a good question for you to rebound on that one. Crappie Cat goes, what is your Ned rig setup? Like, what do you go to on things to that nature when you're throwing the Ned rig? So
the bait's pretty simple. It traditionally it started out. Funny story. The Ned rig is from Ned Katie. Ned Katie is a neighbor of mine just up the road in Lawrence, Kansas. He's been an outdoor rider, and he actually showed me the Ned rig back in, I think it was 2011 or 2012. And at that point, when I saw how special it was, I'm like, Ned, we really need to kind of keep this thing quiet and keep it hush hush. But, obviously we know what's happened since then. I mean, it kind of, set the world on fire. My son actually even caught a 12-8 on it. So for people that don't think a Ned rig won't catch big ones, but I'm just using a little, I think it's a 1/5 ounce or 1/4 ounce little jig head, and Strike King makes a Ned Ocho. Your Ochos or stick worms, it started where guys were cutting them in half and putting them on jig head. Obviously, it's gotten very refined. Now, the setup I use is the KastKing Speed Demon Pro rod. The finesse tube rod is an amazing rod for that really light stuff. That is the ultimate Ned rig rod. It's a great light drop shot rod. I obviously use the drop shot rod as well, but for the Ned rig, that rod is key. I'm using it on the Speed Demon Elite spinning reel, 7:4-1 gear ratio. And then I've got it paired with anywhere from 10 to 15 KastKing, the 13X finesse braid. That braid is absolutely incredible. The more I fish with it, super, super smooth. And then I pair it up with an 8-pound Gamma leader. And from there you go to work. Now, here's the thing that I'm cautious about. I started catching them on the Ned rig the first day, but I lost 4 fish on it. And I didn't really like that. So yesterday I focused more on fishing a drop shot and got dialed in on the drop shot. And I think I weighed in 19 fish yesterday, and I caught probably 16 or 17 of those on a drop shot. I only lost 1 fish on the drop shot all day using a little Trocar drop shot hook. So I'm steering away from the Ned rig, but the Ned rig is still a great bait, and sometimes it'll catch them when the drop shot won't.
Nice. I got kind of a funny question right here that came across it. World's Okayest Fisherman goes, I was curious with your sponsorships with KastKing and other companies and commercial appearances for Toro. Do you have a manager that represents you in negotiations for these compensations? So I'm curious to hear
when it comes to an agent, no, we don't. But I know Adrian knows what's going on. I got my business partner, my wife, Bobby, who's always behind the scenes here. And no, we do that stuff ourselves. Bobby's really good with that as well. But in the fishing world, they don't have agents or representatives on that. We actually, with Toro, we work with an ad agency that has put that together, and it really works out well. I mean, it's been a great fit. Toro recognizes the demographics, and it's been a great fit. I mean, what a perfect point to get it out there. The Toro Cut Line. I love my Toros. I love all that, but I don't like being close to that Toro Cut Line. I like being well above that Toro Cut Line.
Now, that's a great segue to a nickname that you're kind of stuck with right now. And I don't know it's one that you like. And so forgive me, but Bubble Boy.
Boy. Yep.
You're a Bubble Boy. Can you explain that nickname for us?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It seems like a lot of this year I've been a bubble boy, and unfortunately, a lot of our tournaments I've ended at the bottom of the bubble. This one's turned out really, really well. I'm on the bubble for heavy hitters now and all that, so I don't mind it. I'm just ready to be above that Toro Cut Line and be the bubble boy that's above the cut line and below instead of below the cut line.
Definitely,
I'm perfectly fine being bubble boy tomorrow as long as I'm the last man in.
I mean, you've hit some home runs in your career and cashed some big major checks and some big major events. And, hopefully it's time to repeat it again. You've done quite a few awesome tournaments with some seriously good results on, man. We're rooting for you in the KastKing family to see you get back in that, to get off that bubble and get on the bubble that is more of the first, second, and third place bubble. It's only a matter of time. And we know you got the talent, Brent. We definitely do.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
We just need to fish play along.
I'm always looking ahead and looking forward to the next events. That's for sure. Definitely.
So going into day two, you shot up that score tracker. Was the Ned rig still your key, or did you see some different changes with that red eye shad lipless crankbait? That's a Strike King lure, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah. Strike King red eye shad. But no, yesterday it was predominantly the drop shot. Strike King half shell. Phenomenal little bait. I went through 4 bags of those yesterday, but paired up with a little Trocar drop shot hook, a little 3/16 ounce weight, and I found that I didn't lose them. And it's kind of always grumbling and joking that, it's tough because you hook them and you have to fight them so long. These fish have so much power. I kept trying to catch them on the big flipping stick, 20-pound line and the KastKing flipping stick and all that, just trying to do it, but just can't get them to do it. They can't get them to fire on that. They want that drop shot. And, it just was one of those things. I was a little gun shy from the Ned rig from the fish I lost. The drop shot was working, and I'm like, you know what? No reason to change it. Yesterday, I didn't catch a single fish on the lipless crankbait, but I did catch a couple. What's crazy about this lake right now is the amount of crawfish these fish are eating. I've never seen anything like it. You'll be getting them up to the boat, and you're watching ounces slip away because they're spitting out these massive crawfish, and you're like, no, let me weigh you with that in your mouth, and
burp afterwards, man.
Yeah, when you match the hatch, I'm like, I started pulling out. Yesterday I pulled out a Strike King 1.5 in a crawfish pattern, and I ended up catching several on it, and that was really a great way. So that's basically what I'm doing is running around this flat, and I'll throw the crankbait, and I'll pick up some roamers. That way, fish I can't see, but the whole time I'm looking for those fish that I can see on live scope, and every once in a while there'll be an isolated rock and it'll have a couple fish on it. What's been really cool with my live scope this week is I feel like I've really gotten dialed in. Like I said, I can see fish sitting in the edge of that grass, and I can fire that drop shot over there. You'll see it go down and kind of disappear in the grass, and you'll see a fish kind of move to your bait and you raise up and they're on there. So that part, I mean, it's super exciting, and looking forward to doing it again tomorrow.
So basically, drop shot, Ned rig. Are you now? Say there was something like, say you start losing confidence, and that's something right here that Major Bass wrote. If you could choose one technique, what would your ultimate confidence technique be? And I have an idea what that is. But for tomorrow, if there was a kicker technique, like, you know what, I've been doing okay on drop shot, I've been doing okay on Ned rig, but I just got to get that heavy hitter points done.
Right.
Like, is there something you're going to shift to if you're going to go hog hunting?
My go-to confidence bait, I mean, probably it's no secret, is the Strike King Thunder Cricket. I've caught some tremendously big fish on it. It'll catch big smallmouth, and I caught one or two in practice on it. Haven't had the bites that I thought in the tournament on it. I've got one tied on again tomorrow, and we're supposed to have a lot of wind tomorrow. So usually those moving baits are a lot better in the wind. So I'll be throwing that some. But that's the thing about smallmouth. Every day they're different. They get a different attitude, and you have to change things up a little bit. Yesterday I caught one on a spy bait too. So the conditions were right for it, and I caught a couple, on the spy bait also. So I'll have probably 10 or 15 KastKing rod and reel setups, probably 4 or 5 spinning rods, and just different thoughts and ideas that you have to keep an open mind every day going into a smallmouth event, because it's always changing. But that being said, those people that are watching live, without a doubt, a drop shot, everybody's going to have a drop shot done up, maybe a tube or a Ned rig, but there's moving baits that can definitely play a key. Tomorrow with the conditions, I may have to put the moving baits to work more to see if these fish have moved, repositioned, things like that.
Yeah, especially with that wind picking up, that's really going to play hell on like some of the other different techniques that guys are trying to do with finesse.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about it because they're calling for an east wind. I'm fishing the west side of the lake, and I believe this lake's about 18 miles across. So, if we have a good strong east wind in the morning, it may completely change my game plan.
Which could, that could break you, but it could end up luckily making you. So,
well, it's one of those things I'm not totally upset about, because I was here 6 weeks ago. My son and I came up in July, and I found a place on the east side of the lake that was absolutely loaded with fish, and I haven't been back. It's just the conditions we had in practice were super, super windy, and I couldn't even go practice that side of the lake. And when you only have 2 days of practice, you kind of have to commit to an area and get as intimate as you can be with it. And luckily I found what's gotten me to this point, but I may have to go do something completely different tomorrow.
So if the wind picks up, things aren't working, is that like in your back pocket as a gamble honey hole? Like, just hope they're there. I got to pull it out of the back pocket and just see if I can make it happen there. And
yeah.
You can show up and they're not there.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, as we're seeing in this thing, and that's what's going to keep my confidence going, is if I have to go fishing again, we've seen the amount of fish guys are catching, and sometimes it can be a blessing. The fish that I'm fishing for, myself and Mark Rose are fishing there, and we've put a tremendous amount of pressure on those fish. There's been a lot of lot of fish caught there in the last couple of days. And as far as we know, the days that we're not there, there might be some competitors in Group B that have been beating up on them as well. So sometimes going out just with the fresh confidence and just going and looking for new fish can definitely be a blessing. And that's, if I have to go that route, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, see, and that brings another element to it. Like, for all you know, because you guys can't follow your little secret honey hole or where you've been, everybody's been murdering it, and you could just be left with crumbs, man. That's crazy. That's scary. But
it's funny you say that. So last year when we were at Lake Travis, a funny story about that is I won my group. I think I was Group A, and Zach Burge won his group, Group B. And Lake Travis, it's like 60, 70 miles long, this massive fishery. And, on the knockout round day, the two winners don't get to fish. We go straight to the championship round. So lo and behold, championship day, we take off and we're running, and Zach's a little bit in front of me. So I'm just kind of curious. I'm like, let's see if he turns off or keeps going. And we run the 4 or 5 miles up the lake to the turnoff to the creek I'm fishing, and Zach turns off in there as well. I'm like, oh, wow, both winners came out of the same creek on this massive lake. Ends up, Zach and I started probably within 150 yards of each other on this massive fishery. And it's just interesting to see how we found the same fish, and that creek was that productive. But ultimately what it cost us is we caught so many fish out of that one area. I think there was actually 3 or 4 other guys in the top 10 fishing those same fish. Jacob Wheeler went on to win the tournament. Probably didn't have the best area, but the best area got so much attention that too many guys split it too many different ways.
Yeah, that's nothing to think about. Now, question: your guys' practice. Do you guys have to practice different days from each other?
No, we all get 2 days of practice. Our practice was this past Thursday and Friday, but on Thursday of last week, the wind was blowing, I think, 20 to gust over 30 out of the south. So that made it very, very difficult. And then the next day, so, you kind of had to fish the south end of the lake, or it was a little bit out of the west. You could fish the west side, and that's where I found my fish. Then the next day it's raining and out of the northwest. So everybody was up on the far north end of the lake. And on Friday that morning, I'm fishing a flat out there and in this massive lake, and probably within a mile and a half stretch, I counted 21 of my competitors all in this one little area of the lake. So, a quarter of the field, we're all within sight of each other.
Oh, nice. So I got a little question here. Yakin Life wants to know, what's your favorite Ned colors to throw for
my favorite Ned colors? That's the big thing. In soft plastics, people overthink it too much. Usually some form of a green pumpkin, just something of green pumpkin. But probably my favorite one that most people don't consider, especially on smallmouth, is black. Black, believe it or not, black is probably becoming my most favorite soft plastics color on smallmouth. Next to green pumpkin, it's black. And actually,
is there a reason
rig I was throwing up here was black.
Do you have like a theory behind why? Like kind of like the shading and the shadow, it just stands out.
Honestly, that part I don't know exactly why, other than my good buddy Aaron Martins back in the day. He taught me that that black was really a good color for smallmouth. I remember he showed me, one of his little secrets was a little 3-inch, stick worm, a black one rigged wacky style, and it's one of those things that's always stuck with me. And black has become one of my big favorites for smallmouth.
Nice. Okay. Now, Melissa Justice, who is a repeat offender, we have a lot of repeat offenders in the show tonight that constantly frequent the show. But Melissa Justice is definitely a high profile one that's always commenting and a great user. She asks, on average, how many rods do you have prepared for a tournament, and what setups do you use? Now, I can answer part of that in a vague way. A lot. Like, if you ever followed Brent for a while and seen his prep days, homeboy has got a ton of rods out there. But maybe from the horse's mouth, how many on average do you have? Do you have like a protocol? Like what? Of course,
well, everybody Melissa, that's a great question. And I always tell people fishing rods are like golf clubs. I don't know. There's a limit that golfers can have, but each rod has a specific tool, just like the Speed Demon Pro rods. We've got technique specific rods, and in practice, I came up here with an open mind. I mean, I had top waters on, I had crankbaits on, I had lipless crankbaits, I had spinning rods done up, I had jerkbaits. So I had a little bit of everything done up in practice. So in practice, I probably had 18 to 23, 24 rods in the boat. Come tournament time, you hope to narrow that back. But I knew, the first day of the tournament, I probably had 20 rods done up, and I probably threw close to all of them because I'm cycling through trying to find what the fish want, what they don't want. And like I said, in practice, they were really eating the lipless crankbait and the first day in the Ned rig. Then yesterday here, I'm throwing, a drop shot and a spy bait and a square bill. So, for tomorrow's day, I've got probably 20 different rods done up just for all the possibilities and all the what ifs.
Nice, nice. Now, at the beginning of the show, we started off talking about how this is the final event for the Bass Pro Tour. Now, does that mean it's the final event for you this year, or is there some other like cup event or team event or something that you've qualified for to wrap up 2022?
Yeah. So tomorrow is, or this event is the final event of our Bass Pro Tour. So at this event, they're going to crown the Angler of the Year. And actually, Bobby said they just did. Jacob Wheeler has taken that title again. Congrats to Jacob, but I'm coming after it next year. But, after this event, they're going to find out who your 40 qualifiers for Red Crest are. And then ultimately at the end of this, unfortunately, there's going to be a handful of guys that are going to be eliminated from the Bass Pro Tour and make room for the new guys coming for them from the pro circuit that have qualified to make it. So kind of an emotional roller coaster here for a lot of people. But the neat thing is a lot of the fans, they know where Major League Fishing started. It was from the cup events, but they've changed it up a little bit this year. And I'm actually pretty excited about it. Some of the people have probably seen the pilot event. If they haven't, you can go to Major League Fishing and watch it. They're going to a team event, the General Tire Team Series. And what's going to be really cool is they did a draft, and basically they're 3-man teams. And what was funny is the top 27 guys were the captains. And I missed being a captain by, I think, 2 points. So what I tell myself is I was the first round draft pick. I was number 28th in the standings. And I was chosen by James Elam to be on his team. And then we chose Jonathan Van Dam. So James Elam and I and Jonathan Van Dam are going to be teaming up together to battle against 2 other teams here in a few weeks for the team series. And what they're going to do, I think there's 3 teams that will battle it out for 2 days. And the winner of that group will advance on to the team series championship, which will be fishing in December. So it's a little bit, it's a spin on the cups. We still don't know where we're fishing, all that stuff. But what's going to be really cool just for me watching the pilot is they're going to have earpieces where we can communicate with our team all the way throughout the day. So it's going to be a lot of banter going on, a lot of joking, but at the same time, a lot of seriousness of going to be comparing notes with each other of, hey, I'm starting to catch them on this, or I found out this is what's working. Here's what's not working. And, like I said, I know Major League Fishing, they did a pilot last year down in Florida, and it was really an exciting event to watch. And, I'm excited to be a part of it and play it out. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed. And I hope myself and my team, we're battling it out in the championship for it.
Nice.
But that'll be just like the cups, where it will all be filmed, and then we'll share with the fans at a later date.
Now, you said you don't know where, like, you guys are fishing and things of that nature. Do you know, you said you're competing against 2 other teams, so it'll be an event where 3 teams compete against each other. Do you know the other 2 teams that you're going against yet?
Yes. I don't know, but I don't know if I can reveal that yet.
Okay, let's not reveal it. Let's not reveal it.
I believe you can go on Major League Fishing and find all that out. I think they have the brackets and how it all is structured, but I don't want to tell something and get me in trouble or reveal something that I shouldn't. The other side of that is I know what state I'm going to, and that's it. But I can't tell you guys that either. I've been sworn to secrecy on that part.
Now, this is a playful question. So if whoever watches this, it's on the other team, sees this. So let's say that this event goes on throughout the year into 2023, and there's these other teams that you end up getting slotted against. Is there a certain team that you're like, as long as we don't lose to them, I'll be okay? Like, is there a team that you just can't swallow a loss?
Well, there's not, because I don't think most of us have even wrapped our brains around it. We've all been so focused on the Bass Pro Tour season. All I know is I know who my teammates are. I'm really excited. I'm honored that James Elam picked me because he's a great young fisherman. I mean, I know in the Bass Pro Tour, I'm always cringing because James Elam is always catching them now. And Jonathan Van Dam, he's a Van Dam, a heck of a fisherman. And, I think we're a well-rounded team. So I'm really looking forward to that. As far as competition and the other teams go, I don't really know at this point because it's so new to us.
Well, that's, if I was to ask Cliff, your counterpart with KastKing, who he had to beat,
Cliff
he'd be
would probably have one.
As long as I beat Brent, I'll be okay. He'd probably say something like that. All right. So, actually, here's a question for you from a brother from another mother. So Joel asked, does Brent feel like a jerkbait will play a role tomorrow?
That's an interesting question because I absolutely love to throw a jerkbait. I love throwing a jerkbait for smallmouth. It's a great search bait. But I hate to say this, of all the baits this week, I have yet to get a bite on a jerkbait. I don't know why. I'll have one tied on tomorrow, and I may throw it around a little bit, but these fish have just not been wanting to chase a jerkbait. The only thing I can attribute to that too is these fish are so focused on feeding on the bottom that they're not wanting to chase stuff up. And now people are like, well, you're throwing a lipless crankbait and you're throwing a square bill. Those baits at least look like a crawfish and all that. I don't think you can emulate a jerkbait to look anything like a crawfish. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure somebody's catching them on it. I'm sure Kevin Van Dam has surely managed to figure out a way to catch a few on a jerkbait here, but it hasn't happened for me yet.
I tell you what, if you pick up a jerkbait and you catch a good one on jerkbait tomorrow, you got to look at the camera and be like, Joel,
yes, there you go.
Yeah.
So
shout out to my man.
Hey, so speaking of that, before I forget, I will have a camera to start off the day tomorrow on live. So be sure to tune in and you'll find out if I catch one on a jerkbait or not.
Well, if it's Cody, tell him I said hello.
Yep.
So nice. Now, before I turn you loose, we've hit that 30-minute hour. And Brent, you've been with me for the majority of that. So I apologize for taking up so much of your precious time. And it is precious with the event that you've got going on.
I am missing The Office, just so you know. I'm missing episodes of The Office that I've seen 1,000 times. So we're okay.
Sorry.
We're talking
It's
fishing.
important. But so I noticed that you just went and bought a nice big fancy boat recently for saltwater fishing, things like that. Now, one thing I wanted to get across to my viewers watching tonight, the KastKing Elite spinning reel. That thing right there is an absolute animal when it comes to saltwater fishing. It's enormous. It's huge. You can get them all the way from a 3,000 series up to the enormous 8,000 series. Brent, have you had a chance to get your hands on one yet?
I've only got to play with them at the shows a little bit. Now, yes, I didn't go purchase a big saltwater boat. The family did.
My apologies.
My parents bought the boat. Now I'm in the process of purchasing the Garmins and all the batteries and all the goodies that go on the boat. But that's kind of a family affair. But we made the big purchase first. We've got some odds and ends saltwater stuff. I've got some smaller KastKings that we use. Believe it or not, my Bassnators and my Speed Demon Pro rods, those work great in saltwater as well, as long as you rinse them off. But I assure you, now that we've got this big boat, we're going to have to set it up with the best equipment. And I can't wait to get a hold of some of those reels and put them to good work.
Well, see, now that's the thing is a lot of times these reels, we can't keep them on the shelf. They just fly off the shelf. Yeah. So I'm putting it out there for everybody watching and for you too, Brent. I know maybe you should take a minute outside the office, which I know that's that's important programming for you. But guys, we just got a good shipment in of KastKing Elites. They are back in stock, available on Amazon and both KastKing.com. So as soon as this live show is over, race to beat Brent. Like everybody else tomorrow is going to be trying to beat Brent. Brent's going to be trying to beat you guys tonight to get his order in for those KastKing Elites. They are in stock.
Now I'm going to have to make sure I do it tonight and can still get a hold of one.
Get a hold of them, so you can outfit that family boat, man. I tell you what, Team Chapman saltwater boat is going to be set up as long as the viewers leave one or two for Brent. Now, what size would if you were going to go place an order right now? What size is on that list for sure?
For me, it would definitely be one size of each. But for us in our saltwater world, that's what I'm excited about. Everything we did before was in a little 19-foot boat. Now that we've got this 30-foot boat, we are really opening the door. My son has turned me on to what's called speed jigging, and I believe is it the 4,000 or 5,000 size. Something along those lines that I'm going to pair up with probably 50 or 60 pound braid that we can do the speed jigging on. But I mean, there's so many different opportunities in the saltwater world, and the things that, I'm going to want one or two of each, and we just use them for so many different things that I'm going to have a couple of each, and find out where it fits into the assortment of setups.
Nice, absolutely nice. Let me get my mouse back on the right screen. So, what does this say? Oh, hey, I got to give you a little shout out here. Somebody right here. Booster says, "Hi Brent, I fished with you as a co-angler FLW at Old Hickory in 2002."
Oh my goodness, that was a long time ago. Well, hey Booster, good to hear from you. And if I remember right, that was actually a pretty good event for me. I think I almost won that thing, but that was a long time ago. So I hope you're doing well.
Nice. And then last question before I wrap up the show and turn you loose. Tony Evans wants to know, speaking of saltwater fishing, which rod would you recommend for flounder?
Oh my goodness. Hey, I'm gonna keep it real with the Speed Demon Pro rods, because I have them. They're great saltwater rods. But believe it or not, what I really love is the spinning version of the crankbait rod. I think it's a 7.3 spinning crankbait rod, but it's an awesome saltwater rod. Pair that with a 3,000 size reel and
linear glass composite,
small jigs, live bait. That we were actually using that exact setup, when we were down there a couple weeks ago, and we were catching all kinds of fun smaller stuff with it. That's what I love about saltwater fishing. We're catching that smaller stuff on that lighter tackle, having a blast, and you have to horse them in before the barracuda or sharks or whatever we're down there eating it. But that would be a setup that I would look at for sure. Is that, like I said, it's the Speed Demon Pro rod. I think it's a 7.3 crankbait spinning rod, and pair that with a size 3,000 capstan reel, and I think you'll be set. It'll be an awesome setup. The other one, if you want something a little bit stiffer, is the jig worm in that rod also. Okay.
Yeah, and I know we've got some great, like this Facebook user says, the estuary rods, which are an inshore rod, would be a great option for you.
I know I've seen them at shows. I just don't have any yet, But hey, the bass tackle works great for saltwater as well.
I'll tell you what, there is no shortage of Speed Demon Pros on the Chapman properties, boats, whatever it may be. You got a couple of them, right?
Absolutely.
We'll never get a solid number out of Brent how many he's got. He's like, a few. So yes, sir, you do. Well, Brent, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. You got a very important day tomorrow. I apologize for taking up too much of your time tonight. Get those reruns of The Office taken care of. Get those filed where they need to be in the old brain. Get yourself ready for tomorrow, and tell Bobby hello for us on the KastKing family, and good luck tomorrow, man. I hope you go in there.
Thank you to everybody, fans. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure, like I said, to check us out tomorrow on live on MLF, and hopefully you're going to see me make it straight to the championship round. Absolutely. Well, good luck, Brent. I appreciate you, man. You have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow morning on MLF. See you guys.
Brent Chapman, ladies and gentlemen. Such a cool cat, such a classy individual. Sharon taking time out. Think about that. He's got a important tournament ahead of him tomorrow morning, early, and he's taking time out of his schedule on a very serious. We're talking the knockout round, and he's dropping some great info for the KastKing family. You gotta love it when Brent Chapman is on the line. So, guys, my name is AJ Gore. But before I turn you loose, on behalf of KastKing, guys, again, check it out. This reel never stays on the shelf. The Capstan Elite Spinning, you can use it in saltwater. You can use it in freshwater. This is primarily designed to be a saltwater beast. But if you guys are out there trying to catch giant monster carp, catfish, things to that nature, this cat right here is going to perform extraordinarily well for you, as well as anything you're going to look at in the saltwater industry. So check it out. Save some pennies, but put some seriously quality, innovative, industry-leading technology in your pocket and on your boat or on the shore, however you're choosing to fish. This has got you taken care of. KastKing's got you hooked up. So speaking of getting hooked up, hook yourself up and make sure you follow us on TikTok under KastKing USA. Same name on Instagram, KastKing USA, but you can also find a secondary page at KastKing Community. Now, I've been talking about this last couple of shows, warning people, there is a whole lot of slimy people out there, for lack of better terms, that are imitating a lot of brands, and KastKing is one brand they love to imitate. If you guys see like an underscore or a period or an exclamation point in the name or the description name of the call tag of the company, especially on Instagrams where they're doing it a lot, it's most likely fictitious. So what I would suggest to everybody is take a screenshot before you open up any kind of a private message from them and contact your favorite local KastKing representative and ask, hey, is this legit? Is this a true deal? And we'll let you know, yeah, that's from us, or no, look it right there. That's bad juju. Do not open that. Block that person. But always, 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 if it is determined that that is an imposter, somebody who is suspicious in doing that, report that account. That's the only way we can manage these things is we report them. But if the consumers who are being targeted and you guys are the real victims more than us, the reality, because if you open up suspicious messages from people who are lying, saying they're somebody else, you could download and lose your accounts, get viruses, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you always know whether it's from us. KastKing USA TikTok, KastKing USA, no underscores, no periods, none of that stuff in the system. And then of course, KastKing Community on Instagram. If you're watching right now, you know right here on Facebook or YouTube, it's just simply KastKing. So guys, on behalf of KastKing and the Chapman family fishing tomorrow in the MLF, let's all make sure we tune in tomorrow, give good prayers, positive vibes, and everything we need to do to send Brent Chapman the luck he needs to hopefully get that W tomorrow, get into the cut line to fish championship day, and who knows, cash one heck of a paycheck and get himself up in the standings. Maybe he'll get off that bubble, get those couple ounces he needs, get into heavy hitters, and keep killing it for the KastKing family. We know he's capable. He just needs a little luck and those fish to play ball. Brent, thank you for being on the show tonight. And guys, thank you for tuning in. I will see you on the next KastKing Live. Deuces, ladies and gentlemen. Deuces.